Yes. Okay, Shama, you can start.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to ICCS online webinar series. Today, we all have gathered here for the fourth webinar of the ICCS webinar series aimed at creating awareness on climate change. The topic for today is Importance of Sector Specific Climate Indices for the Better Understanding of Climate Change by Dr. Divya Surendran, Scientist, India Meteorological Department. Before starting the lecture, I would like to briefly introduce today's speaker before you all. Dr. Divya received her MSc in Meteorology in 2000 from Cochin University of Science and Technology. She holds a PhD in Atmospheric Science and Meteorology from Mohanlal Sugadia University. Dr. Divya started her career as a researcher at India Institute of Tropical Meteorology and is currently working as Scientist C, Climate Applications and User Interface Group, India Meteorological Department. Dr. Divya's skills and expertise are in the fields of environment, meteorology, air quality, aerosol science, and air pollution modeling. And she has around 20 publications in the related fields. So, without wasting much time, we'll move on to the lecture. I request all of you, other than the speaker, to kindly turn off your audio and video. You can also watch the session live on YouTube by streaming onto the official YouTube channel of ICCS. Now, I would like to humbly invite Dr. Divya Surendran for delivering the lecture. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shama. Thank you for the introduction. So, I will be talking about the importance of sector-specific climate indices for the better understanding of climate change. So, many of us are using different type of climate indices for different purposes. So, today I will be discussing about WMO recognized some climate indices which are useful for the sectors like agriculture, health, energy, etc. So the outline of my talk will be in this way. First, I am impact of climate change in different sectors and importance of climate indices. Then sector-specific climate indices recommended by WMO, and the indices which I prepared using the about how the Climax software is working. Next. So all of us know that the temperature, global temperature is increasing approach. We are facing different types of. We see the time scale and the impact. So the impact are actually it is the impact of climate change or impact of extreme weather events are different for different sectors. Sectors are affected by the different types of extreme events and different types of normal weather events also. So from a daily to centuries, we have the effect on different sectors will be different. Suppose we have a heavy rainfall event occurred over a place. So initially there will be a water over different sectors in the society like agriculture, water resource management, recreation happening. So with respect to the improvements in forecast from the last few years with the advance in technology, observational network and all, the forecast has improved considerably. So in a way we should know the climate information also. So climate so your plan in a change and variability. So what is a climate index? We all know, generally we speak about index means it will give a useful information from a large data set. So suppose if we talk about GDP, that is gross domestic product. Even if we inputs for GDP, if we know the value of GDP, we can say a country is actually its economy is growing or it is not growing, or it is growing. So based on that, any index will be represented in a particular way. So it depends who want to see from that data. Many of us in the atmospheric or oceanic community, we know the dipole mode index. So dipole mode index is the index which actually tell the condition of SST in the
Your voice is breaking very frequently. I think there is some technical issue from Divya's side. We will just wait for her to rejoin. There is some technical issues, Divya. Yeah, you can continue.
yeah. So,
You
Shama, can you plus once more? Am I audible now? Yeah.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
from the figure we can see, yes. So from the figure we can see if a positive IOD means it is in a positive phase. So which part of the Indian Ocean will be having more SST? Which portion of the climate index
Divya, your voice is breaking. Yeah, your voice is breaking. Maybe we can try with your video just to keep, maybe from that side. Your voice is coming break.
am I audible?
You are audible, but it is getting interrupted by something.
Sir, actually some network issues I think.
Durai, you are okay, Durai?
Yes.
You are getting
No, sir,
continuously?
not continuous. Not
Yes.
continuously. Breaking, sir.
Yes.
She can switch off video mode, sir.
Your video you can switch off and
Okay,
then only voice you can try.
yeah,
We can
yeah.
try that.
Yeah. Now it will work.
Yeah.
Is it fine now?
Yes, yes, yes. Please continue.
Sir, is it fine? Okay, sense of or a representation of a some aspect of data. So let's come to the climate extreme indices. So it will give the extreme aspect of it will characterize the some extreme aspect of the climate record. Next slide. So how do they different from a climate variable? So in the left panel, we can see what I have shown is the time series of temperature, maximum temperature for Trivandrum station from 1969 to 2020. So this figure, decade wise, how the temperature, maximum temperature is varying from 1969 to current. So this will give the variation of maximum temperature. So on the right, it is giving that is it represents the how hot was your hot season. So from 1969 to 2020, how was the warmest daily maximum temperature of that particular year, how it was varying throughout the years from 1969 to 2020. So it will give the intensity of maximum temperature if we compare with the normal time series. So it is a climate index, or with the climate index we can say whether how much hot was the that particular year. Uh, Next slide. So here we can see, Shama, just go back. Just go back. So here we can see there is a maximum temperature is increasing, and this increase is in a significant way because the statistics also given, the p-value also given here. So it is showing the warmest daily of every year is increasing, and this year and this variation or this change is significant. So in this way, we can infer more information from a climate variable. So here, similarly, what I have done here is the time series of daily precipitation over Trivandrum. How the daily precipitation varied from 1969 to 2020. What was the variation in each year with respect to precipitation? On the right hand side, it is showing the number of heavy rainfall days. That means with respect to IMD's concept, 6.5 centimeter or rainfall more than 65 millimeter is considered as a heavy rainfall. So how that rainfall, heavy rainfall day has varied from these years. So here we can see there is no trend actually in this case. How the heavy rainfall events is giving an idea how the variable was changing during the last whatever period you are analyzing. Next slide. So why we want to use the climate indices? So actually it will help us to understand the changes. Basically it will help us to understand the changes in a climate, how it was changing. And if we consider only the descriptive or basic statistics of a data set, so Trivandrum etc. So it will also give an idea about the data, but you cannot see the change, how the change is happening in every year or the period you are analyzing. So in this aspect, actually climate indices are very much important, because it will help us to understand how the changes are happening in different indices for a frequency, or if we have warm spell or cold spell. So we can say we can actually understand how the cold days, number of cold days are, whether it is decreasing, whether it is increasing. So it will give you more idea than if you are looking at a descriptive statistics. Next slide. Okay, and one more, if suppose if we are analyzing the maximum temperature data for a 30 years, 10,950 daily values. From that value, if we are applying an index on that, then it will make it short, like 30 values, means how many years, 30 years, and from that we can see whether any change has occurred in case of extremes or in case of heavy rainfall, etc. Next slide. Shama, next. Slide before. Okay. So on this idea, WMO, World Meteorological Organization, they have a team on expert team on sector specific climate indices. These indices are actually for improving the sector specific application with respect to the different sectors. So suppose a person who is working in an agricultural field, he may be he may be needing an have a threshold of some temperature. In that threshold, his crop will be growing. So that temperature will be so if he know that particular threshold and how many days are actually conducive, how many days are based on that index. Same time, if a person who is working in an electricity field, so if there is a long spell of dry days or warm days, so the uses of fans or ACs will be more. So in that way we can so he can decide how much power consumption will be there. So applications will be different. So in order to address all this application with respect to different sectors, WMO has formed a team of expert team on sector specific climate application. So here they have derived different types of indices using a software known as Climpax, and it is easy to interpret also with respect to the requirement of different sectors. So this is the team, and these are their objectives. Next slide. So I will be discussing more about the Climpax software at the end. So this is a easy software. We can say it is an online. You have both options like online and offline. You just need the station data of your location, only temperature and precipitation data. With respect to the data, it will provide idea about which indices are favorable or which indices are helpful for the sector you want to study. Next slide. So these are the sectors are coming under this GFCS, Global Framework of Climate Change. Actually, it is considering all the important sectors like agriculture and food security, health, water resources, coast, disaster risk reduction, energies, fisheries, greenhouse gases, etc. So I will be discussing the major, the most important indices which are useful for different sectors. Next slide. So all these indices are basically produced based on the daily data. So it is actually very much important to consider the daily data to understand the variations in extreme. So in the figure, if we are taking a monthly mean, so many of the time the extreme events or the heavy rainfall event which happened in a particular day will be smoothed out, or a highest temperature record or so based on the daily data, thus all indices are calculated with respect to the daily data. And okay, the next slide. Next. Okay, so now I will be discussing about the different types of climate indices discussed in Climate. So one type of index is the intensity index. So it will be actually indicate the intensity of an event based on some maximum or minimum variable. Suppose one example it is given monthly warmest daily. So it measures in a month, Pxs is the monthly warmest daily temperature. So of a month is varying. So every month, sorry, every year there will be 12 values that for that particular year. Similarly for the next years. So it will show the intensity. What is the maximum recorded maximum temperature? Okay, so it actually describing the intensity. From this climate index, we can identify the intensity of that particular temperature. So here the warmest daily is around 35 to 36. But if we are coming towards the 2020 or 2015 or 2020, we can see the highest maximum temperature recorded, it has increased to 38 degree. So from this many years, there is a 3 degree Celsius or 2 degree Celsius increase happened in only in the highest maximum temperature. So this will help us to identify the intensity of that particular variable, particular index from the if the for the period we are considering for the study. Okay, so this particular index we can use for planning purposes, like how much is the maximum temperature is, I mean, highest value of maximum temperature is increasing. So it is helpful for the electricity or energy sector, how to regulate the power consumption, how much more energy, more electricity is needed for the coming years. If this trend is next is actually the frequency index. So frequency index will tell how many times, frequency means the period, how many times a particular event has occurred. Okay, so it will give a measure of number of days or number of spells a particular when suppose we need greater than 10 millimeter. So it will give an idea how many times or how many days was there that particular threshold crossed. Okay, so the next I will explain in detail. Suppose that tx 10%. So it is actually, it is showing divide so it the 10th the lowest 10th will show how the temperature, maximum temperature was, whether the temperature was below than the 10th percentile. So basically percentile based analysis we use to understand the extreme of that particular, positive extreme of that particular data. Similarly, in the negative direction, if we are considering the percentile below than 10, it will show the negative. Expect to that tell the so here I have shown the annual percentage of days when the maximum temperature values are less than 10%. So it is showing the value of maximum temperature less than 10% is decreasing. That means the minimum value of maximum temperature is decreasing. That means the temperature is actually increasing. So in this way we can interpret the data, this indices, and we can apply the same for our different type of sectors. So here we are not identifying any intensity or spell.
We have no sound from your side.
Slide is not moving, sir, actually.
And your voice is not coming. Yes.
Yes, sir. Now it is visible. So am I audible, right?
Yes, yes, now it's okay. Yeah.
Okay. So the third type of index is the duration index. So from the word itself, we can say how long that particular event has continued. So this will help to identify the length of any event. So here the examples are warm spell duration. So if we want to see, suppose if I want to see how many 6 or more consecutive days the temperature was above than a threshold, like maximum temperature was more than 40 or maximum temperature was more than 38 degree. So how many consecutive six, or we can actually define the days, how many times that particular condition, how long that particular condition sustained. So it will give the length of that particular event. So another important is the continuous number of consecutive dry days. So here it is considered as if the precipitation is less than 1 millimeter. So how long that particular conditions continued. So in a year, from the figure we can see from 1970 to 2020, the number of dry days, consecutive dry days, in the year of 1970 it was around 45 to 50. So in the year of 1971 it is that spell was more, like it is coming around 90 spells was there, precipitation was less than some particular threshold. So this type of indices are very much useful for the planning in agriculture, and also for the water resources, storage of water, forestry, etc. So they are basically affected by the duration. If we have a long spell of dry days, so of course we have to think about irrigation activity. We have to change the agricultural patterns and all. So in this way the duration indices are helpful. Next slide. So here, the sector specific climate indices, already I have told different indices are already created. So the application of that any index will be different from one sector to another sector. So suppose if I'm taking a warm night index, that means warm night means the minimum temperatures are more. So it is if the minimum temperatures are more during the night time, so it will demand a air condition or fans in the evenings and night times. So this will help the energy sector energy will be how much power will be used for the addition of additional use of air condition or fans. Same way the same index can be used for a health sector, because when the minimum temperature is increasing, the comfort level of the body will be different. It will be comfort will be reducing. So the same index will be useful in another way for the health sector with respect to human comfort. So the application or understanding of indices is different for different index. So one another important is the growing degree days. So this actually gives an idea how much energy is needed for a particular crop to grow. So the person who is working in an agriculture, dealing with a particular crop, he will be knowing which temperature is suitable for that particular crop. So if that particular that conditions, how many days are actually how many days are there in the past data, how many data are favoring that particular condition. So based on that he can take decision whether he want to plant that particular crop or he want to wait for the next season. So one slide before, Shama. One slide before. Previous slide. Okay. So warm spell duration. No, one more ahead actually. Next slide. Next. You're going behind actually.
Go forward. Go forward. Yeah.
This one?
Go forward. Yeah, one slide before. One slide. Just one slide before. Yeah. So warm spell duration, it will give the number of days contributing to the how many days, how many events were there or how many spells were there in your past data. So this will also helpful for the agriculture sector or water resources to plan their activity. Next slide. Next. Okay, so here this software actually giving some default index based on the universal means based on the theories or already published literature. It is giving some uh, default index. Apart from that, we can actually customize our own index based on your requirement. So here you can use 3-day or 5-day consecutive. If consecutive 3 days is there is a precipitation, what is the accumulated amount of precipitation for that particular 3 days? Similarly, the consecutive 5 days. Suppose a person who want to know if he want to do some another study, there he needs not 3 days or 5 days. Requirement. So this will help to calculate the user's required index and also help to compare how it is varying, how it is changing with the default or customized index. So based on the requirement of the user or what you want to understand or which sector you want to study, based on that you can actually customize the indices. That is an option here in the Climapack software. Next slide. So I will be showing the how we can how to use this software. But before using that, we should have an idea like what you are actually want to study. So if we are looking, if you want to if you want to study over your location, you should have a general idea how much precipitation last year or last in the past, if there is how much precipitation was there during a flood time, how much precipitation lead to a severe flood in your locality, or if you are studying a agricultural aspect, then you should have an idea about what is the required temperature or precipitation for the growth of your particular crop. So based on that we can actually, based on that only we can customize this indices. So it is means on a trial and error basis you can try different index, but it does not have any meaning. So you should understand. So based on that there are options to customizing the indices. So that I will discuss in the demonstration part. Next slide. So change detection and attribution. So basically if we want to understand the climate change, first we should able to detect demonstrating that there is an observed change is happened, and that change is significantly statistically significant also, and that is visible in your data. So based on that statistical analysis we can see there is a change, whether there is an increase or there is a decrease, and whether that change is significant or not. Then the second component is actually attribution. So attribution is actually it is the process of evaluating the change. We are trying to understand why that change or why that particular change happened in any variable or any, why there is a reduction in the crop yield, or why there is an increase in temperature. So that attribution is a another way to understand the change. So this climate indices actually helpful for to detect the changes, not for the attribution. So attribution needs more studies, but in the research context, climate indices are actually helpful for detecting the changes. So when we are analyzing the, suppose you have seen a change in temperature, it does not mean that it is only showing the change in temperature. So what is the reason for that particular change? We have to think, or we have to do scientific analysis. Like if there are large number of urbanization rate is increasing, so whether it is related to the increasing temperature, or whether it is related to the pesticide you are using. So many things we have to combine and we have to take a decision. So the index or indices whichever provided by ClimePact, it will be helpful for the detection process. Next slide. So these are the there is one more option in this software it is actually providing. Suppose you have a sector related data. So here what I have shown is the it is the dengue cases reported in Kottayam district from 2010 to 2021. So during this last 10 11 years, the number of how many number cases how they are related, how they are correlated with the different index values. So climate parameter is actually affecting the dengue propagation or the breeding of dengue mosquitoes over your region. So this will help. Suppose here we can see the maximum precipitation value greater than 95 correlate with the dengue cases. So actually it can be explained like if there is more amount of rainfall, the breeding larva will be flown away if there is high amount of rainfall. So very high amount of rainfall is not suitable for the breeding of the dengue mosquito or dengue vectors. So like that, you can actually compare with the which indices are actually uh, which indices have a role in the sector you are actually studying. So the similarly the next slide. This is the rice yield or rice production for Alapura district for the last few years, and how they are related to the different index and how they are related to the different climate variable. So this will give an overall picture how to assess or how to analyze your data, how to analyze the how to make a decision based on the data, not just seeing the data variability, by applying some statistics and find out the relevant indices which are useful for which are actually have a relation with the sector which you want to study. So in this way we can see the correlation. This data actually I have taken from internet. So if we have a sector data and climate data, so in this way you can actually compare how index are related to the different sectors, whether the warm spell duration is if there is a increasing warm spell duration, is there any increase in rainfall above the national average, or is there any increase rainfall above the national average. So in this way you can actually compare how index are related to the in a particular. So is there or increases seen rise of any crop. So in that way we can understand this impact also, and with respect to the past data. Next slide. So these are the some important indices I just recognized for the with respect to Kerala. So there are different other indices based on the frost, based on minimum temperatures, when the temperatures are less than 2 degrees Celsius and all. So it differs with respect to your location, and it differs with respect to the area you want to study. So basically there are more than 65 globally recognized indices are there. So all these indices are somehow related to different sectors. So understand that index, how they are related with the particular sector you want to study, then it will help to both data and sector data what you are actually dealing with. Next slide. So the software is actually it is online based software you can use in offline also. So there are basically two components of the software. One is the maximum amount of quality control. So it will see how continuous is the data, is there any erroneous data, or is there any outlier. Suppose suppose a very heavy rainfall happened on a particular day, so the value will be very much high from the lower from the day previous and after. So we have to, it will show already an outlier has occurred, so we have to verify whether it actually occurred or not. Then if it is actually occurred, we can go ahead with the data. And there are different types of quality checks in there. If there is a too large value of, if there is any maximum 32, the next day it is showing 40, so it's either it is an error or whether it has actually happened. So it is giving a option for the quality control. So first step is actually data in a good quality, and you have to replace the missing data some with some default value. After that it will go towards the index calculation. So index calculation, the default indexes will be calculated automatically, and the customized indices we have to give the threshold based on your experience and based on the uh, requirement of your study. Based on that, you have to give the threshold for customized indices. So basically, these two part comprise the Climact software. Next slide. So I'll show the demonstration actually. Uh, Sir, how can I show from my PC? Can I show the how to do this one?
Yeah. Please, please.
Okay.
Because Shama cannot show that, no? Shama cannot.
Yeah. I'll just share my screen.
Yes.
Is it clear?
No, it has not come. Yeah, it's coming.
Okay. So this is the page of Climact. The ID means this link as I have already given in the PPT. So here we can see the main page of Climact 3 software. So here you will get all the information about different type of indices and the history and how they have reached till here. So there are two options to use the climate indices. One is the online version and another one is the offline version. You can install the same in your PC and you can run it. So I will be showing the online version. So here you can go to the use Climact online. So internet is very slow today. I don't know what happened.
It's a very 100 MB, it's a 100 GB.
Sir, actually today one power failure happened. After that, it is showing. It is very slow actually.
Okay.
So this
No
is
issue,
the
no issue.
main page. Now it is visible, right?
Yes. Yes,
So
it
here
is. You
there are
can.
options to go for, you can do for single station, you can do for single station any particular station you want to study, and you can do the batch process also, like if you want to study multiple stations together, that will also option is there. So I will be showing the single station. See, the method is similar for batch processing, only the data format, input data will be slightly different. So here if we go, so we have to, there will be a page like this. Here you have to give the input data. So input data, here I am giving for Alapura station. This is the data. So the data format I can show. So data format will be for year, month, days, and maximum temperature, minimum temperature, and rainfall. Only three variables are required: maximum, minimum temperatures, and rainfall, amount of rainfall. And this has to be in this particular format, in text format. So it will take the data, and here you have to give the latitude and longitude of your particular station. So latitude, longitude is also important. And the next one is the base period. So base period actually represent based on which period you want to calculate the climatology. So WMO is actually recommending minimum 30 years of data. Even it is less than 30 years also, the software will take. But for a climatological analysis, to understand the climatology of a particular region, minimum 30 years of data is recommended. So here I am giving 1971 to 2000 only. Calculated. That will be the period of period considered for that particular analysis. In very few seconds only. So here I am giving 1971 to 2000 only. So till now, any questions?
You can continue. You can continue, Divya.
So actually, it is loading the data. That's why it is taking some time.
Yeah, no issue. Next, you have pressed it. Okay.
It is. It is not working, sir.
Yeah, no issue. So I think that by giving this data, you can select the indices or all the indices will come.
No, you. Yes. Now the data is loaded. Just I will show. I'm sorry, sir. It's not working actually.
No issue, no issue. I think there is some net issue, maybe. No issue, no issue.
So
I think,
internet issue actually.
yeah, you
Only
can.
thing the what I have shown in the PPT. One second, I'll just show the thing in PPT. Sir, are you able to see in my screen?
It's coming. It's coming. Not still.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. You can now. It is being seen. You can show
Okay.
slideshow. You can
So
just
that,
try slideshow.
yeah,
Slideshow.
yeah.
You can.
Is it working?
No, I think you are not pressed in the slideshow. Down. It's not appearing. It's okay. We can see that. We can see.
Yeah,
You
okay.
please
So
continue.
there will be a window will be coming like this. So here you have to give the custom, if you want to customize, like mom spell duration. So for how many days you want to, how many days you are actually defining a warm spell. So that can be from 1 to 10, how many days. So you can, here you can give the, with respect to your requirement, the number of days. The options will be coming here. So like that cold spell duration, it will take 5, 3 and all. So suppose if you want to if you want to study for a 10 days continuous, that you can give. So similar way, there are different criteria we have to give in the page of customization. So this is actually tricky. For this, you should know the what you want to study. So this is a cold day, CDD is the actually how much energy is required for to cool a temperature. It is defined in that way. So for that, you should know the that mean temperature, like if we are considering any station in K 24 and all, so you have to use more energy for cooling any particular building. So based on that, we can give the threshold values based on the requirement. So this is the, and here you can also define any particular rare consider 1 millimeter. Suppose if you want to consider IMD's criteria, so it is when precipitation is greater than or equal to 2.5 millimeter. So similar way, we can customize the data and it will give the indices based on that threshold. Otherwise, the basic 65 indices will be generated automatically. Apart from that, if you want any specific, if you have any specific requirement, there you have in this page, the second stage, it will show the customization. There you can give the threshold.
Yeah. That is over, Divya.
Okay, sir. So now I have it has taken the data. So I'm going for the next step. Here it will show the customization also. So I have given the data for Alapura. So it will show the basic quality controls, and the data will be in this way actually. Can show.
So you have to
So it will show
share
the,
it. Yeah, you are not
yeah,
shared.
one second. Yeah. It now is it visible, sir?
No, still
I
not
have
has come.
shared
No,
now.
no. It is coming. It's coming. Wait. Yeah, it has come. Yes.
So here it will show the outliers, like this one is showing the precipitation. So from January to December, for any that particular period we have given, there are outliers, like there are rainfall recorded more than 200 millimeter and all. So these things we can check with the whether it has actually reported or whether it's a false value. like that. Initial step, it will give a quality check. It will show the range and it will show the outliers. And in temperature also, this is maximum temperature, this red one. So for Kerala, it is okay. Like May, it went to 40 degree and all. So whatever it is different from the normal, it will show the outliers. So this is the first step, and it will show the time series also, how the data is varying in the period, for the period we have given. If there is any missing data, it will show with a red circle. And after this, we can go to this particular window will come. So this was the one I was describing. Here we have to give the threshold, whatever, depending upon the sectors, for whether it is agriculture or whether it is heat related or energy related. So here you can define. So here there is an option for customizing your index. So if we didn't give any value, it will take any default value and it will go for calculation of climate indices. So it is simple actually. Plot format, also in the data format. We can get the data also in a text sheet or Excel sheet. You can do the analysis further. So whatever I have shown, it is actually came here indices. So it will show the all the indexes calculated in text format or Excel format. Similarly, the plots are also will be there in the folder wherever we have kept. So that's all, sir. Actually, I think the demonstration with this internet, it is difficult actually.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Thank you, Divya. Thank you. It's actually, in spite of some technical issues, you could actually, present most of the important result actually. As I understand, this your climate indices is slightly different from climate variable, and that can actually used to indicate climate change aspect, extreme events using climate indices. And also these climate indices can be also used for studying association with various, its impact on various sectors like agriculture, food security, energy, health, etc. And you had shown there are three type of climate indices, like frequency, intensity, and duration,
Yes.
isn't it? And
Yes.
you have categorized, and similarly categorize also sector-wise, application-wise. So when you want to study certain sector, corresponding indices can be used, and those indices will easily will give you how the changes is occurring in that indices and the likely impact on that sector. Perhaps we could not get much a demonstration aspect. I think some other day, you can present it, and at the same
Yes,
time, others, those who are there here, her email address we can get, and they can contact her directly, and those who are interested, they can learn from her, and she's will be, I think she's making classes, taking classes for other courses, IMD and other, agencies. So she will be able to help you also, or you can contact ICCS. We can, through her, we can provide you information. Anyway, yeah, it's a good, Divya. So you also have done, I think, some showed sample, for health of certain
Yes,
district
sir,
of
yes.
Kerala.
Yes.
So it is nice. So, I think any other question, if anybody have, before we, wind up.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Durai, please.
That format, input format is fixed, the text format, or that we can give in Excel format?
Sir, even CSV is also fine. Comma separated, that format is also fine. Otherwise, Excel format.
Okay, but the data should be only like year, month, date, then rainfall, maximum temperature, and minimum temperature. So that we should maintain the order. Huh? Am I correct? Hello.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
The data format
Yes.
is correct.
Data format is
Yeah.
a year, month, date, then rainfall, maximum temperature, minimum temperature. That order we have to maintain, and format should be any text or Excel. Hello?
Yes, sir. Text format, it should be year, month, date, and maximum temperature, minimum temperature, and precipitation.
Oh, okay. Maximum, minimum, then precipitation is the last. Okay, okay.
Yeah, yes.
So
And
that's the daily.
your the data.
Hello.
Yeah, Durai, continue. Please continue, Durai. Continue.
Okay. Instead of giving daily value, if I want to calculate hourly information for 10 years, is it possible? Have you tried?
No, sir. Currently, it is not giving any hourly calculation. It is all calculations are based on daily data.
Daily. No, some information we need hourly basis for finding the duration, which time it occurring. Suppose heavy rainfall or heat wave. That duration, if you want to identify, then we need to have hourly information. Okay.
Yes,
So,
yes, I agree. But the software does not have the option to give hourly base.
okay. Okay. Okay, but a very good software actually. Really is very good. People can utilize. Actually, one more thing. Actually, have you tried the WMO station? That data should be available with that software. Climate Pact. Have you tried? So if you provide a WMO indices like 43278 or a any WMO index, if you queue,
No,
whether
no, you don't need to give index. You can use any station. You have to give latitude, longitude.
Only latitude, longitude.
Sir, if for WMO index station, if we provide latitude, longitude, then it will calculate indices
Yeah, we
or
can calculate. Yes, we can calculate. We can calculate.
without providing data.
No,
You
no,
know,
no.
we need data. No, we need data.
And
Data
actually,
is not there.
that's why I'm
Durai,
telling.
data you have to give.
Sir, for other than WMO station, we have to provide the state data. If it's the WMO recognized index, WMO station, then we are already sending data through GTS. So they might have kept the data in some format, some server.
No, no, no.
No.
That is not available here
Okay.
in the software. It can be done. It's a good idea. In fact,
Yeah,
Divya,
you can actually check with them, sir. Actually.
yeah, you can suggest to WMO also.
Yes,
But
sir.
only thing, Durai, maybe other countries are permission may be necessary. Long-term series to.
Yes, yes. Data
Yeah.
sharing is there, so it needs
So,
permission.
anywhere GTS data is free to all. People can access the data real time also or in offline also.
Correct.
They are accessing the data. So if the Tolima can manage the data server and
Correct.
keep data there, then people can access this data in any time.
Correct. Exactly. I think Divya, you can ask them WMO people.
Sure,
Okay.
sir. I will check with them.
You can write a heckler. Who is that person? Healer.
Actually, it is here.
Yeah, you can write to him actually. So I think
Okay.
and this time series also, when you give year and that you have to give in a sorted this one, or you can randomly year can be changed.
Year can be changed, sir. Actually, if wherever there is a missing data, it will take care of that. It will not show the data there.
Yeah, even if you don't know data, you don't need to give. And
We have,
if
yeah.
missing data, you have to give some minus
Suppose in a
99.
series, yeah. Suppose in a series, maximum temperature, minimum temperature available, rainfall is not available. That you have to give. So continuously, if all three variables are missing, that you don't want to give, the software will take care of that.
Okay.
One more question. Suppose some some days are missing. In that case, what? You have to give that some.
No.
No. That actually software will take care.
Okay.
Automatically.
Okay,
So
madam.
in
Thank
this,
you.
actually, if there is no data continuous, at least for a month, 3 or 4 days data is required. If no data is at least 3 days data is not there, it is not considering that month for the calculation.
Okay. Well, minimum three days is necessary. Huh?
3 days, at least 3 days should be there for a month.
Should be there. Okay.
Great.
Sir,
Okay. Anybody else has got?
thanks, sir. This is Bala Subramanian from IMD Bhopal.
Yeah,
sir.
yeah. Bala, please.
Sir, just I congratulate Pfizer for his nice effort, and thanks also due to Divya. Divya, I have one question actually. Can just please tell me, is there any option for gap fill here? some long-term data. And second thing, suppose if a very long-term, like hundreds of 100 years rainfall data, you are telling about 30, 40 years data. In that thing, only rainfall oriented some 100 years data we can also use, no?
Yes, but sir, for this particular software, it is taking temperature and rainfall. So if you have, means we have to try without temperature data. Temperature data, if we can replace with the default value that I haven't checked actually. So basically, it is minimum and maximum temperature and rainfall. 3 variables are required.
What about gap
But we
filling
can
option?
try,
Is
sir,
there?
I will check.
Option there? So data gaps are there.
Gaps actually, sir, data gaps actually. If
Okay.
that's what I told, if there is a not there, that we have to fill with default value minus 99. Otherwise, long gaps are there. The software will take care, but they're actually encouraging to use the continuous data. Otherwise, the calculations will not represent the actual scenario.
Because some of the software, there are some statistical methods they are filling the gaps. If that option is there in this impact also, because that will be useful actually in our case.
So they're not filling the thing actually. They're not
Yes,
filling
yes.
the thing.
Yeah, that option we can try actually.
Okay, I will check, sir. I'll check.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Yes.
How can you define this base temperature? Can you explain it once more?
Yeah, Divya, you got the question?
Can you just pardon? I didn't get the question actually.
Nandana, once again you can.
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, you had defined base temperature for heating degree days, CDD and GD, no? So how can we define this base temperature degrees? Or how can we input? How can we define that base temperature?
How you can define base temperature for a degree? Base. Threshold, is it some threshold?
Yes, sir.
So if we are taking a tropical section, am I audible?
Yes. Yeah, Divya, please.
Yeah.
Sir, I think the long-term
So
average
suppose
is the
if we
best.
are taking a tropical section, not only the long-term average, actually for it is depending upon it is actually showing how much energy is needed to cool. So if normally at what temperature you start your air condition whenever you feel uncomfortable, or of course if you are considering a tropical station, so for Kerala 18 degree is actually nothing, if 24 or something. So based on that experience we can consider that base temperature, like that we can define. So you can actually change the threshold how it is changing. So 18 they have given based on the European criteria. So I actually checked with them. So 18 degrees in mid latitude is actually, it is, if it is crossing 18 degree, they are considering it as some amount of discomfort will start. So based on that, you can define that one.
But we are in the tropical region. We need to calculate that temperature using temperature and moisture. So moisture play the major role.
Yes, of course, sir.
High moisture and low temperature give maximum comfort index. That something like.
Yeah, here.
Discomfort.
Okay, Nandana, is it okay?
Yes, sir. Okay. Okay,
clear,
sir.
eh? Yeah. Anybody else?
Sir.
Yeah, Dr. Bose, please.
Sir, I have a simple question too. This is a very good presentation. Nice. Thanks for a nice presentation. But I have a question. These type of indices and all these things, data generation, academically, these are okay. But the implementation side, or an implementer or an planner or a decision maker, how can you use all these indices and it will be very useful? How is it useful for the practical purposes?
So
Academically, all these practical purpose in the sense in the heavy rainfall time or the disaster time, there are a lot of issues, the emergencies time. All these type of indices are the academically okay, analysis part is okay, but how we can use all these indices in the planning process or all these things?
Sir, for this, basically, we need a collaborative work based on any threshold.
Collaborative work, which are the agencies or what
So what
is the
planner is
mechanism?
actually-
At present, what is the mechanism?
Actually, the planner.
Any mechanism from IMD side?
Yeah, Dr. Bose,
Sir, actually,
this is Divya, let me just see, Dr.
Yeah.
Bose, this is the first time, this type of indices are being propagated by WMO itself. So
Yeah.
slowly it is coming. As she said in the initial beginning, these indices are just indicative of climate change, and the impact. So even if you want real time also, if you have got a real time data, that can be generated. And WMO and IMD is providing all the temperature, data, all that available through their online website. And they are also doing to agriculture community, wherever they have got a collaboration, this data are readily available for anybody.
Yeah.
For you also, you can get through IMD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Divya, you
Thank
want
you.
to add something? Divya, you can add.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Actually, what I was actually telling is that we can actually provide the climate indices, but actually, what a sector person required that we need to understand. So for that, we need sector data or any collaboration from that particular sector. What type of temperature is actually triggering any health issue? That type of information we need. So then only it will be fruitful. Otherwise, there are different indices. So based on that indices, how can you take a decision? It need a collaborative aspect.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so it is not only the climatologist will decide, it is the health expert or agriculture expert, they have to decide, and it will change through location, time, and season, etc. The same indices which is valid for in the tropics may not be good in extratropics, that may not be good in polar. So depending on your situation and the season and purpose and sector, different indices. So she wants that particular sector person should work with climatologists and decide. And once that is done, and these indices are very simple to calculate. You need only maximum, minimum, and rainfall data. Am I correct, Divya?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is.
Okay. Anyway,
Also, what you want to study.
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Bose, that is fine. Clear, Dr. Bose. Dr. Bose, are you hearing? Okay, so I think has been a very good presentation from Divya. So before we end, I will request Shama to conclude. Shama.
Okay, sir. I'm delighted to submit a vote of gratitude on behalf of ICCS to today's keynote speaker, Dr. Divya Surendran, scientist IMD, who took time out of her busy schedule and chose to be with us to offer this wonderful lecture on importance of sector-specific climate indices for better understanding climate change. And also thank you, ma'am, for the demonstration of ClimePack software. I also want to express my sincere gratitude to our director, Dr. D.S. Pai, sir, for his initiative in organizing this lecture series and also for his constant support and guidance. I would also like to thank all my colleagues at ICCS for their support. My deep sense of appreciation and thanks to all the participants who attended the webinar with great enthusiasm and made it a successful event. Once again, thank you all for sparing time and being with us. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead.
Dr. Divya, we can have some other day, one more presentation by you when your technical issues is resolved. ClimePack is a very interesting thing, and our research students are there, and anybody want to join, we will conduct that. Okay. But otherwise, it's very interesting and it's a good effort. Even from WMO side, they are propagating now this type of indices, and this software helps actually people. You don't need to write a program or anything. Simply giving the data, you can quickly get these indices, almost 65 indices. And as she demonstrated, best indices for your whatever purpose that you want, that can be used. And anyway, thank you, Divya, once again. See you.
Thank you for
Thank you all for joining. Thank you.
this opportunity.